What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. So MSTR is kind of in the same position that it has been in for the past 3 or 4 months, just trending downwards. Definitely starting to look like this 2021 move over here. It looks like we ranged sideways for from February 2021 to around November, and then we started to fall off in December. And over here, it looks like we made that peak instead of February. We made it in November, and we've been trending sideways since around October. So practically a year, and this one was a little less than a year here. So it looks like we're kind of getting the same thing. It looks like the major drop is yet to come. Really just getting started. If we see the same move that we saw here, we are already getting the lower highs. As you can see, we're getting that same structure here. Now, typically you have that with your bull flags, but the way that it continues to deviate against Bitcoin definitely goes to show that it's favoring this outcome instead of it being a bull flag and continuing higher. Now, if it was tracking with Bitcoin pretty well and outperforming Bitcoin on some days or majority of days, then I would say this is more than likely to be a bull flag. But since it's typically underperforming, it's leaning towards that idea of this just being another double top similar to this one over here. And of course, we're going to look at when you map out this all the way down to this first drop that we have here. We're going to measure that up and kind of get an idea of what we could have over here and line it up. And you can see, I mean, it's practically spot on. I mean, it's just foreshadowing a larger move to the downside. And I think it's really, really on point when you look at where it's at overall. It depends on how you want to move it. Right there, it looks like the exact same thing's forming, almost identical to the month. You can see the layout. So be ready for something like that. Following this move here, there was a 2-month run up and then a continuation down. So almost kind of like a bear flag. If you take a look on the weekly, you'll probably be able to see a little bit better. That kind of was that continuation of that move to the downside. And speaking of bear flags, it looks like the one that we were speaking of, let me pull it up on the daily. It probably looks a little bit easier to see. We've been talking about this bear flag for some time now. We had this push down here, trended sideways, dipped, pushed back up, and then it looks like we completed this leg, but we'll see if it continues on down. You can see that we completed it. It was sitting at around 263 for the completion of that bear flag. I know a lot of people, love MSTR, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to understand how it works and how it works relative to Bitcoin. So it has its cycles that slightly vary from Bitcoin. So you'll catch the majority of the upside, it'll outperform, it'll front run Bitcoin, and then it'll front run the downside as well. So something to be considerate of when you're investing in MSTR long term. Understand that these are the swings and the downturns that you have to be ready for when you're in something like this. Now, if we were to just say, this is just a theoretical, I don't want to scare anybody, but let's say the move is completely over, right? Let's say for sure this is going to play out. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm just giving you the theoretical. So this next move is going to play out. We're essentially I'm going to forecast it out so you can see exactly what that would look like. We're going to go all the way to the bear market bottom, major drop, right? So we're essentially going to say that this plays out and we get a major move to the downside. And you're all the way down at $100, $120, something crazy, right? Really low, 50% lower from where we're at. You more than likely would be buying in this exact area again, because MSTR will do something. I'm not going to say it's going to do the same thing because the market cap's larger, but it's going to do something similar to this again in the following cycle. But you have to be very patient and understand that you're about to get demolished more than likely if this plays out. This exact thing plays out, you're going to get destroyed. You have a time to accumulate, and then you're going to have an insane opportunity to rally up in the following crypto cycle. So you have to be patient. Crypto cycles take 4 years. We are still in the middle of this one. We haven't even started the next one. So that's something to, consider. So you have to expect 26, 27 to really be accumulation time. 28, 29, you should be able to ride up at least 28 and 29, or some of 29 at least. So if that were to play out again, and we do a theoretical from the top, we'll do the exact same thing. This one dropped 90%. So it has a larger market cap. It's a little bit more well known. So we're going to say it's going to drop, I don't know, we'll say 80%, sure, right? 80%. That takes you down to $100. So if you accumulate down here, you will more than likely be able to ride up that next leg in the following cycle. Like I said, it's going to take plenty of time. So you're going to be sitting here thinking, there's no way it's going to happen. It's down to $100. It's going to go down to 50. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And then it's going to take off. And then people are going to be trying to get back in again at, the next all-time highs, which who knows where it's going to be at, right? So maybe these are how MSTR cycles work relative to the Bitcoin cycles. Maybe this is the thing that we will always see, where it's a double top. It front runs Bitcoin sideways, tries making up a push higher, fails, falls down. Same thing happened here, pushes up, tries to make a larger push again, fails, falls down. And then along the way, you have 2 or 3 bull flags that create, that form and push higher. And you saw the same thing happen here. On a smaller time frame, on the daily, you can see that you had something similar to this for the 2021 cycle. So you had that bull flag create, push up, create one, push up, and then that was the fall off. And then we kind of had that same concept here where we're running up, have a downward push, kind of creates that little flag pattern, rallies up, has it again, pushes up, double top, falls off. So maybe that is the pattern that MSTR just follows from here on out. We'll see. Maybe in the next cycle it does the exact same thing. And then we can start, betting on that idea in the following cycles. So I'll keep you guys posted, of course. We'll keep an eye out on it for sure. On the weekly, it's not looking too good as we have the 20 about to actually cross the 50 finally. And it looks like momentum is pushing down even further. Weekly is getting close to closing. We have 19 hours left. If we close underneath the structure, that's going to increase the odds of us retesting the structure and continuing down to lower levels. And on the monthly, at the same time, we are right at the 20. So that's a very important level. We're currently underneath it. So if we actually get a close underneath, expect a retest of it. And that's more than likely going to act as a ceiling and fall down further. So the last time we fell underneath the 20 was that exact same move from this 2021 high, where we pushed down, made our double top, a lower high, and then we fell underneath, retested, and that was the end of the move, bottomed, and then we started rallying up again. So we could potentially see that same concept where we push underneath the 20, come back for a retest, we fall off further. Maybe we fall underneath the 50. How we did here, we fell underneath the 50. So we fall underneath the 50, let's say. We maybe get a double bottom, and then we break above the 50 and the 20, and then we recreate the next move. Maybe an inverse head and shoulders, who knows? It's kind of what happened here. But left shoulder, ahead, right shoulder, pushed up higher. Maybe that's what we get coming up. Who knows? Because that's going to be a major level of support here. from this 2021 high along with this structure that we created over here. So this actually would play out pretty perfectly if we land there. It's going to be a lot of support for price, and it makes sense for some kind of bottoming pattern, inverse head and shoulders, and a push higher. Not saying that it's over, but it looks very bearish, I would say, at the moment. And it has been for the past 3 months, while Bitcoin's kind of not really dropping. It's kind of just trending sideways. It's not sitting at 70,000 or 80K, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely looking a little rough, and MSTR divided by IBIT is definitely showing that as well. On Bitcoin, we're still holding our key level of support, sitting here at around 109. We have 23 hours for the month. We want to hold at least 109, and hopefully the following month we can actually push back above and close within these wicks. We want to get a close at 116 or higher. We haven't had a monthly close higher than this one over here at about 115.6. We want to get a close there and start to create fresh highs on the monthly chart, because it's a very powerful chart. And on the weekly, we were looking pretty solid as we fell underneath, pushed back up. We actually closed back inside of this upward sloping trend line, and now we're back underneath. So ideally, we want to see a recreation of this back in here again, closing in this upward sloping trend line to start that move higher. On the weekly SMAs, we are underneath our 20 now, still holding above our 50. And on the daily, we're underneath all three, and we just got to close underneath the 200. So that's very powerful. We are still, at the moment, in an upward sloping trend line relative to these lows here. So that's a good sign. We'll see if the trend can continue and we start to break higher levels and start to trend higher. But at the moment, it's still looking okay. If we start to break underneath this wick, then this move is going to start to look a lot more bearish, and then it's going to start looking like a bear flag. If we start to break underneath this wick, it's going to start to question if this will start to play out. Once we break this wick here at around 103, if we break that, start looking for the bear flag to play out to potentially 95,000. Just in terms of the charts, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, because there's so many other factors that can play a role, whether it's a FOMC meeting or Trump sends out a tweet or something. Who knows? Something catastrophic, war. We don't know, right? That could send the market down or up. Be open to multiple ideas, like I always say. When we check out MSTR divided by IBIT, it looks atrocious. It's just bleeding out at a fast rate. And I was saying in my last couple of videos, if I'm not mistaken, closing underneath this structure here, once we break here, we have a clean move. When you take a look to the left-hand side, and look what we're getting here. We're getting a clean move and a severe underperformance on MSTR versus IBIT, which is what I was talking about in the last video, if I'm not mistaken, or was it a video before that? I don't really remember, but look, it's playing out. And maybe we find support at 407 before getting some kind of bounce, or we make it all the way down to the structure at 394. But it's a pretty clean move. I mean, that's a very aggressive fall off in this week span so far. You can see that's a 8% underperformance just this week alone. The people that say TA doesn't work, I think it definitely does, because how were we able to say that MSTR is going to start underperforming Bitcoin even faster just after breaking this level? We're able to identify that, and it's exactly what's playing out right now. It's always nice to be able to understand charts a little bit, because it could give you some kind of edge, slightly. At the end of the day, what you should be doing is long-term investing anyways. Dollar cost averaging into stocks and ETFs that you enjoy and that you like, and that's going to serve you best. Not about timing the market per se, but it can help you identify pockets of discounts where you can get a nice little discount. Tether dominance is still fighting with this key structure here that we have. It's still creating lower highs, so the structure is still looking pretty solid. When you take the look at this entire piece over here, we're hoping for a larger move to the downside so we can get a nice spike on Bitcoin. Ideally, we want to get a close underneath this structure and then eventually break this upward sloping trend line, retest both of them in confluence, and that should allow us to fall further because that would act as a lot of resistance above our head if we were to actually get a close underneath both, and they can both push price down further combined. That's kind of what we're looking for, and that's what we want to see. That would give us a nice little spike on Bitcoin, and then ideally, ultimately falling underneath this structure over here. Both of these minor levels of support. Well, this is a minor level of support. This is a major level of support. We want to fall underneath both of those and make our move to the blue line, hopefully getting our cycle top, hopefully soon. And that does bring me to my next point with the Federal Reserve. They've been, performing their QT where they're decreasing their balance sheet and pretty much taking money out of the circulation, like out of the supply in the economy. So their next meeting, they're talking about ending quantitative tightening. So QT is ending. So right now with QT, that means the money printers are off. They're cold. December, when they stop QT, it doesn't mean that they started QE yet, quantitative easing, but it means they're warming up the money printers. And then once they start to increase their balance sheet, that's when things can potentially get crazy. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but once they start to stimulate the economy and pump money into it, that's when you can start to see your altcoin season. That's when you get your FOMO, and that's where you can see major crypto tops. So that would be playing throughout 2026 potentially. So we'll be seeing where they go with that. Now, maybe the Fed is waiting for something catastrophic to happen to then turn on the money printers. That's also a possibility where they wait to see something catastrophic and then they say, all right, we're going to save the economy by printing money. The same thing that they've always been doing. That's why you need to own assets and not hold your money in cash, because they're going to continue to print money for the next however many years. So if you're holding cash, you're screwed. You're burning money by saving your money in a traditional bank account. So you need to own stocks that are going to continue to increase in value. So when they inflate the economy and the stock market and the housing market, you're benefiting from that because you're holding something that is not the United States dollar or any currency at that point. So that's the idea of owning Bitcoin. That's the idea of owning stocks. So as the dollar weakens because they're increasing the supply, remember the higher supply there is, the lower the demand is. So that's why Bitcoin is so valuable, because there's a limited supply. So something to always take into consideration. You need to buy stocks, whatever it may be. Do your research, understand the Fed and how they operate, and it can help you make money. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.